ensayas rápido, no te sabes poner pie. Que se ponga lo ensayas rápido, no te sabes poner pie. Que se ponga
Welcome back to Civil Discourse Now. I'm Mark Small.
I'm Paul Ogden.
This is June 30th, 2012. We are podcasting to you from Indianapolis, Indiana. We're talking about student loans and student debt today as our main topic, Paul.
Yes, it is. It's something we both know about, but our knowledge is a little bit dated. So,
well, I think that we need to discuss how people have historically financed college. I mean, when I was looking at colleges, I started writing away for student bulletins, and that's, you could still do that then. First of all, they still had paper bulletins, but
they didn't have the internet then.
They didn't have the internet.
Gore had not admitted it yet.
That's correct. This was 1969, my freshman year of high school. I started writing away for college bulletins. I went through that really thick. It was the American College Handbook, where it listed all the colleges. And if something sounded neat, I'd write away for a handbook. And I got an idea of what the prices were on colleges. And from what I remember, I think the most expensive school in the United States for 4 years, tuition, room and board, and fees, was Amherst. And that was like $5,400 or $5,100, something like that. Bookstores have always been extortionate, so never even consider that in terms of talking about gouging on prices. Harvard was around $5,000. Indiana, the four Indiana public schools, IU, Indiana State, Ball State, and Purdue, all were about the same. They were about $1,800 a year for in-state tuition. And then I went to DePauw, that was $4,000 a year. That was tuition, room and board, and fees. Now that's obviously, one, quite a bit less than what people are paying now, but two, in terms of adjusting for cost of living, that's significantly lower.
Yeah, I think if you looked at, and I was hoping to find some statistics before we went on the air, but I was not able to. I think you'll find that tuition has gone up far above the inflation rate.
Well, actually,
especially later years.
Well, there's a graph that was on an article that was published by the New York Times on May 15th that showed that tuition has risen twice as much as consumer price index and the price of homes. And in terms of the indexes, say 1,000 is what tuition has hit since 1978, whereas CPI and homes have hit about 400. So it's been 2.5 times what those prices are. And for what? I mean,
yeah, and what are we getting? We talked about off the air. I happened to be in Muncie last week, and I spent my last 3 years of college at Ball State University, which of course is in Muncie. He took me, the person who was driving, took me through the campus, and there were all new buildings in there. They're all fancy new buildings, and new buildings are nice, but do you really need those buildings? And what's the cost of those buildings to people's tuition?
Well, I went to DePauw for my alumni reunion 3 weeks ago. We have a bunch of new buildings, but DePauw also has an outrageously large endowment fund. And so DePauw's tuition is really high, but if you are accepted at DePauw and they really want you, you'll get a scholarship. And so all they do is move the funds over from the endowment to the operating budget. And so really, unless somebody's really wealthy and wants to go there, the tuition, or they're accepted, but for whatever reason the school doesn't want to offer financial aid, it's really kind of a mythical figure. I mean, that's...
Right, and I went to Hanover College my first year. One of the reasons why I went, I sort of intended to play baseball, though I would have been sitting at the very end of the bench, I'm quite sure.
Oh, but
Because I couldn't hit a curveball, Mark.
yeah, but neither can most of the Cubs. So you
Well,
might be in the majors right now.
That's true, I could be. But,
You'd be better than Soriano, I bet.
yeah, I can feel better than Soriano right
That
now.
too.
But the one thing that I recall is that even though tuition was a lot higher than Ball State, where I went the next 3 years, I got so much more in terms of grants and scholarships and things like that going to private school. I'm not sure it's nothing like DePaul, though,
Well,
with its endowment.
when I was in school, and we're talking about how college was, my third year at DePaul, there were 2,200 students because I was student body president, and our Senate budget was $1 for every student on campus. So we had a budget of $2,200 for the student senate. We had 96 faculty members, and when I had run for student body president, one of the things I said was that we needed more faculty. Well, now there are same number of students at DePaul, but there are over 200 members of the faculty. And the school's goal now is to go from a faculty-student ratio of 1 to 10 or 1 to 9.6 down to a little over 7. That has to do more with the quality of education when you have one-on-one contact and more availability of a professor to students. I think that definitely has a bearing on quality of education.
Oh, one of the things I talked about were salaries paid to faculty members, and I was talking about at the law school, and I was shocked. Maybe I should have been shocked at how much they get. They were all over 100,000, I believe. Many were over 200,000. For example, the head of the library at the law school, can't remember his name. Maybe we shouldn't say his name, but he was making like 220 grand.
But that's a matter of public record.
Matter of public record, exactly. Matter of public record. He was making like 220 grand, $250,000, and I think he might have taught 1 or 2 classes, but that was it.
Well, generally the director of the law school library only teaches 1 or 2 classes because...
Right, and there's significant responsibilities, but do you really need to pay someone $220,000 to do that job?
And I don't know that I can say yes or no to that. I can say from having been a member of staff, I was a clerical assistant at Northwestern University School of Law in the library. And the changes that have occurred in technology for processing information, particularly in law libraries, has been phenomenal. The paper books really aren't used that much anymore. Everybody's going online for retrieval of information because you're looking for case precedent and authorities for cases, and so you're doing searches through the computers. So you look at, but that's different. That's also a graduate school, and I think if you look at the nature of education, undergrad versus graduate level, it's much more important having contact with the students personally and talking to them because those are much more formative years in education.
You're talking about numbers of faculty members, and I'm talking more about salaries.
They all go to costs.
Well, they all go to costs. Now, actually, people who teach generally at the state schools get paid better than in the private schools. But still, do they need to pay these professors 6 figures?
I think that it would depend upon the area in which the professor is teaching and the demand that is placed for people in that particular area. I mean, here's the thing. At one point, we had a huge influx of education to our economy and our society through the GI Bill. So that basically from the 1940s till now, we've held pretty constant at about, I think the rate was 40% is 40% of the adult population in the United States had for that period of time had some either had a college degree or substantially credits toward a college degree. Now we're seeing that cut back, and other countries that have not historically been as well educated as the United States, Russia and South Korea being two prominent examples, they're ramping up their higher education.
Are you saying that we have fewer college graduates today than we used to?
Not in terms of total numbers,
Okay.
but what we are doing is
Or percents?
our percentage is either staying the same or going down. There was a report from the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, and it showed that about 40% of young Americans ages 34 and under had attained tertiary or higher education in 2009. States, and if that figure sounds familiar, it's because it hasn't changed in decades. About 40% of older Americans also have college degrees. That's not good enough to lead the world anymore. And this is from NEA Today, while the U.S. stagnates in its college participation rates, young people in countries like Korea or Russia, where higher education once was rare, are flocking to campuses. These days, a rate of 40% means the United States ranks 12th out of the 36 countries ranked by the OECD.
And that is an area where you and I disagree on. You think, and of course you're wrong, you think that society would be much better if everyone had a college degree. And I don't have a problem with mechanics going to school to be a mechanic and not going to college and becoming an art major. And then become a mechanic.
Neither have I. I think that what we should do is, and this shows where you don't listen to me, Paul. This points to the fact that we don't provide the opportunities for young people to advance in areas of education or learning as we need to. There should be a foundation of education for reading and writing skills and literature and art and other things. Once they've reached a certain age, and I don't know what that age is, 15, 14, somewhere when they're in high school, they've acquired those skills, then they can begin to determine what they're wanting to do in terms of some kind of career or occupational path. Then I think, if someone wants to, I don't think that they're called auto mechanics anymore. I think they're called technicians. But if there's a vocational path that they'd rather choose, then I think that we should encourage that. But I think we should definitely be encouraging people who want to go to college and who can go to college. We should be getting them through. Every kid who's able to pass the courses, to go as far as they can, we should have a state school available to that person so they can do just that.
Not only a state school, according to you, we taxpayers should pay for all of them.
That's what a state school
Well,
does,
no,
Paul.
state schools they have subsidized education. They don't pay the entire tuition.
Actually, in other countries they do, and in this country, California used to do that. And California, University of California, Berkeley was one of the leading colleges in the country and hence the world. But then they hacked down on property taxes, and Ronald Reagan did away with free tuition. If you were a kid that was born in California, you would go to college for free. It's still the same in Arizona, actually. And we can get to that after break, but we're at the end of our second segment. We'll be right back.